Welcome to another Sandin video. Today we're going to be ranking worst to best every single Green Day album in their catalog. Before we get started, I just want to say that I'm a huge Green Day fan. They've been in my top 3 to 5 favorite bands of all time for as long as I can remember. So everything in this list is done out of love for the band. I understand that there's different albums that people feel different ways about. I love Green Day. My favorite day of the week is Green Day, actually, so it fits. And of course, I understand that different albums in their catalog have had more of an important impact on music as a whole. But to me, on this list, it's just which albums I enjoy listening the most straight through, so that might change a little bit of the ranking. If you're interested in all different genres of music, if you're interested in music facts, music rankings, tier lists, I'd love for you to check out the channel, subscribe, because we're going to be doing a lot of different videos like this, other styles of videos. I think you'd love it. All right, so once again, thank you for checking it out, and let's get into the list. All right, so starting it off at number 14 is Father of All. Now, I know a lot of you might have expected that, and while I do typically like to go against the popular consensus on bands and what albums are their worst and best, I do have to say that I think this album is generally considered their weakest, and I agree with that. Not many of the songs stand out as really that great, and I've never gone back and listened to it straight through since it came out. I will say that a couple songs do stand out. I really like the song Graffitia. I think it's the last song on the album, and I really also enjoy the song Stab You in the Heart. That's a fun song, but that's about all I can say about that album. It's not my favorite. All right, next we have their debut album, 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. And while there's nothing wrong with this album, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with this album. It's just that they were a young band. They were getting their grounds in this style of music, and the production quality is kind of lacking. And I mean, it's not a bad album at all. It's just my second least favorite album of theirs. All right, next at number 12, we have their latest album, Saviors. And I know that a lot of people did like this album. I'm probably going to get some hate in the comments for putting it so low in the ranking. But going back and looking at the set list, and I have been listening to this a lot lately, there's just not a lot of songs that stand out to me as very original and like, this is Green Day, and this is what I want modern Green Day to be sounding like. I think that's my biggest issue with this album, is that I think they could be doing so many different, not saying that they have to go back and do classic Green Day every single time, but just a lot of these songs just don't really stand out as being the most creative and innovative for what they could be doing this late in their career. A couple songs that I do love, 1981 is one of my favorite Green Day songs now. I love that song. Strange Days Are Here, Strange Days Are Here Again? I can't remember what it's called, something like that. But a lot of the songs I just really don't enjoy. I mean, Goodnight Adeline is kind of boring to me. Fancy Sauce doesn't really do much for me. Father to a Son doesn't really do much to me. But like I said, there are some cool songs. The opening song, American Dream is Killing Me, that's a great song. After that, we're going to go to the album Dose, the second album from the trilogy in 2012. Now, I personally love the trilogy. This was just the weakest album for me out of the 3. I don't think that there's necessarily anything terrible about this album. It's just the weakest of the 3. I think a couple songs drag on, or not necessarily drag on, but just don't really do too much. Wild Things, not my favorite. A couple others. But all in all, this album does have some great moments. I like the song Makeout Party is pretty rough. I like the guitar sound in that. I like Baby Eyes, and I know a lot of people hate on it, but I don't completely hate Nightlife. I think the bass line's pretty cool in it. All right, up next we have Revolution Radio. This album is from 2016, and I just re-listened to it. It's a good album. It kind of has the same problems as Saviors, where it's a little bit too modern sounding. I don't really love every song on it. A couple songs that really stand out are Bang Bang. I like Forever Now, the last song. I think that song is a perfect Green Day song. Great song to have playing in the car. It's a fun album, but it's not something that I would go back and listen to all the time and think that this is like some of Green Day's best work. Next, we have Warning. And remember, this is just what I think is like most enjoyable to me to listen to. I understand that Warning might have had more of an impact on their career than some of the other albums, but Warning is just, it's a good album. I think that it does drag on a little bit, but not in a way that takes away from the listening experience at all. The songs are pretty short on it, and it's just like you can really pick any song and you don't have to worry about where in the album you are. You'll just enjoy that song. The songs don't really like work together in any crazy way that you listen to start to finish. So really any song that you pick out will be good. I like Castaway, Deadbeat Holiday, Macy's Day Parade, and Minority. Those are some great songs. All right, as we're coming in at about the halfway mark, I put Trey. And I like Trey. I know you'll probably be surprised that I still have trilogy albums that I haven't talked about, and it's getting pretty low in the list. Most people put those up as the weaker of the albums, but I think Trey is a fun album to listen to. I think that there's not really a moment on the album where you're just like waiting for it to go on and you just don't really care anymore. I think that they, even though they had put out so many songs that year, that they still did a decent job of writing some songs that are really attention grabbing and really make you wonder what's going to come next. Right after that, I put Uno. That's the first album from the trilogy. I think that that's a pretty fun album. There's a couple of moments that are kind of strange, like Kill the DJ, but other than that, the album is pretty driving. I like Rusty James. I like Angel Blue. A lot of those songs are actually pretty catchy and fun. All right, after that, I have 21st Century Breakdown. Now, this album is kind of like, some people have referred to it as a poor man's American Idiot, and I don't think that that's fair, because I think that this album does have a lot to offer that you don't see on American Idiot. I think that some of it is repetitive and that there might be a few too many songs on it, but some songs like American Eulogy and The Static Age and 21 Guns even, those are some great songwriting, some really catchy melodies, especially in the verses, and then the chorus complements the verse. So those are some great songs, and that's classic Green Day, I think. Even though it's only from 2009, I think that still has that classic Green Day sound. All right, next I have Kerplunk, their second album, and I love this album. It's very nostalgic to me, and listening straight through, I think that the only qualm I have is the production on some of the songs, especially towards the end, is a little rough, but there are some magnificent songs on this album. I mean, 80, One for the Razorbacks, 2,000 Light Years Away, No One Knows, just to name a few. Who Wrote Holden Caulfield? That's my favorite song off the album. I think that this album is often overlooked or just passed off as another album that's similar to 1039 Smooth, but I think this album is so much better than that. I think that this is one of their best albums of all time. I love this album. I have nothing really bad to say about it. If you haven't listened to it, which I feel like not a lot of people have listened to this album straight through and appreciated it completely, I really recommend that you go and listen to it. It's a great album. All right, next we have their probably most famous album of all time, American Idiot. I love this album. It's very nostalgic to me. I think that the 9-minute songs, Jesus of Suburbia and The Death of St. Jimmy, are like classic. Those are incredible songs. Some of the best songs ever written, in my opinion. I think that the album never really drags, and it's a great album to introduce someone to the band with. It tells a story throughout the whole thing. It's like a concept album. It's a great album. My favorite song off of this album would probably have to be The Death of St. Jimmy. All right, we're coming into the top 3, and before we get to that, I just wanted to say, if you're still watching the video this far in, you are a shining star and you brighten my life. Number 3, I have Dookie. This was their breakthrough album. This album kind of cemented them as one of the most prominent and important punk rock bands of the 1990s. It has an iconic album cover. It has some even more iconic songs like Long View, Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, and I think this album, like, it's perfect. You can listen to it a ton of times, and it's so fun every time. I love the song Sassafras Roots. I love the bass line in that song. I love how bouncy it is. There's not really any song that stands out as bad, so that's a great thing about this album. You can listen to the whole thing, and it's perfect, in my opinion. So that's why I put it at number 3. All right, number 2, we have Insomniac, the overlooked, more hard-hitting version of Dookie. I think that this album is perfect for Green Day fans because it goes very hard. All the songs are pretty short, to the point, and surprisingly very catchy and original. I think some of the lyrics are very snotty but fun at the same time. Some of the songs hit pretty hard, like Babs Uvula Who. That's a pretty hard song. A Panic song. Walking Contradiction is funny, creative. I think it's a great album, and I think that similar to Kerplunk, a lot of people kind of write it off as being a lesser version of the album that came before it. So I think a lot of people think of it as just a lesser version of Dookie, but I think that there's more to it than Dookie, and that it hits a little bit harder, and that it's a little less overplayed. All right, and then coming in at number 1, I know a lot of you might not have expected it, but it's Nimrod. I think this is Green Day's perfect album. Every single song on it is completely different than the one that came before it and after it. So many different styles of music on it. I think Green Day was at their writing peak when they wrote this album. I mean, you can look at the track list, which I'm going to put right here. Every single song offers something unique and new. Some insanely good songs off this album that some of you might not know are Worry Rock, Walking Alone, Scattered. That's a great song. So I think that this album really cemented Green Day being in my top 3 bands because of this album purely. I mean, it starts off with one of their most fun and energetic songs, Nice Guys Finish Last, and all the way till the end. It never is boring. It's always original, always new, and it's always creative. So let me know what you thought about this list. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite Green Day album in order. Thank you for checking out the channel. Like I said, if you're interested in music of all different genres, we're going to be making a lot of different videos. We post almost daily, and we're going to be doing a lot of different original music, music reactions, music reviews, everything. So thanks for checking it out.